Hey, Chris from Codify Academy here. In this video, I want to review with you what you hopefully learned in the last video series. And if you missed anything, just check out the link in the description of this video. I'm pretty sure that most of the videos, if not all of the videos in that last series, were probably a struggle for you and pretty hard to follow along, and most likely got you pretty frustrated. Remember though, since we're just building up our frustration muscle now, we want to try to recognize that when we're getting near that tipping point, we want to get up and get out and do something else for a bit. One thing we learned was that we can find additional resources inside of Litmos. So in each week, there will be an additional resources tab for you, and you can just download those resources. We also mess around with our Git hidden folders. Remember, if you delete the hidden Git folder inside of your project, it's no longer going to be connected to that repo on GitHub. But the reason we did this was for our template folder. We removed that Git hidden folder from there, so that way we can make a copy from our template folder when we want to start a new project. We learned about 3 different ways to include CSS. Make sure to use that external style sheet. We learned about the differences between front-end and back-end developers. We learned how to include images and anchor tags in a couple different ways. We learned about the differences between block and inline elements, the difference between a div and a span element, and the difference between a class and an ID attribute. We learned how we can float elements so we can sit boxes next to each other. We also downloaded and used Font Awesome icons and updated our template folder to include those in them. We explored the box model, which is on every single element, and how it affects other elements around it. We learned some common HTML and CSS mistakes that we want to avoid. We learned 3 different file paths that are really important to us as developers. We saw a video on how to replicate the Google homepage, and hopefully you were able to complete that Google replica. Otherwise, you might have seen me code the replica from scratch. And finally, we finished by uploading our Google homepage replica to GitHub. Whew, that was a lot to take in. Just remember to practice every single day. That way it becomes more like second nature to you. Again, if you missed something or if you want to review something, check out the video description. I included a link to the previous video series.